everybody, it's jrobichess. We thought I'd go over a tactics position that I came across in a recent game, and just to start things off, I know I haven't been posting too many videos here lately, and there's a few reasons for that, but I'm not going to use any excuses. I'm just going to come right out and say that, for the past few months, it's been a little bit of a rest period for me. I kind of got to a point in chess where I just couldn't analyze anything for some reason, and it was just horrible. And so I just took a step back and just relaxed a little bit, and now I'm starting to feel the juices coming again. So I guess for the people that have been following me for a while, who have been pursuing chess, this must just happen. So I did take a little bit of a break and a breather, and but now I'm starting to feel the the drive and the motivation again to continue on with my learning. So hopefully we'll see some more videos here more regularly than usual. Second of all, of course, Christmas is just around the corner. I think it's 15 days away or something like that, and I like to do a video with my subscribers who send in pictures with their chess sets or their friends that they play chess with. So if you do have a picture like that and you want it in my Christmas video, send it to jrobichess@gmail.com. You don't have to send me your full name. First names are fine, and I'll put that in my Christmas video, which will be up just before Christmas there. So if you can get those pictures in, that'd be awesome. But let's just jump right into the video contents here. So I was playing white in this game, and my opponent just pushed his pawn to h6. And this position that you're seeing here, the position previously here before my opponent played pawn to h6 is relatively equal. Maybe a slight advantage for white, but nothing substantial. But after my opponent played his pawn up to h6, I saw the opportunity to start really building up pressure on the h file. So what I played next was rook over now to h1. So I wanted to bring my rooks onto the h file to start to pressurize that pawn on h6. Now what my opponent did in this position is he's brought his king up now to h7. So I want you to pause the video, see if you can figure out what you would play in this position, and then I'm just going to dive into what I played. Now what I came up with here is I wanted to continue on with the pressure on the h file, so I brought my rook up to h5, and my plan was very simple. I wanted to swing my a rook over to h1, get two rooks bearing down on the h file towards the enemy king, and play the game from that point. In return, my opponent played rook over now to g8. So what he wants to do, of course, is pressurize the pawn here on g5, keeping my queen under pressure from that rook that's going to be backed up by its rook on b8. So from this position, I decided to play queen checks now on f5. So I land the check. My opponent plays his rook up now to g6. Now this walks right into a pin, of course, so I've got a lot of options in this position. So what I decided to do was swing my rook over now to h1. So I'm bearing down on the h file now. Of course, I've got the pin here on the rook, so the rook is virtually frozen, and I've got a whole bunch of options now. I can take the pawn now on h6. There's just a lot of things that I can do. So my opponent, in defense of this, tries to swing his rook over now to f8 to attack my queen. But from this position, I just snag up the pawn now on h6, hitting the check. Of course, the rook can't do anything, and the king is in check. King has to move. So my opponent brings his king back now to g7, and of course, this lands the checkmate here with queen takes on g6. So it was a nice little win, but there was a couple things along the way that could have totally changed the position. So I'm going to jump back here to when my opponent played pawn to h6. So from here, of course, I brought my rook over to h1, and my opponent played king over now to h7. But there was a much better move in this position for my opponent. My opponent had the option, instead of bringing his king to h7, of playing queen now to e6. And this is basically forcing the queen trade here, because there's not really another good move in the position. So of course, white would take the queen here with check, and black would recapture with the rook on e6. Now in the process of doing so, of course, the rook is defending the pawn on h6, so it's buying black a little bit of time. And the best move for white in this position is to thrust the f-pawn forward, take off some pawns from the board once black recaptures, and snug the king up now onto f3. And if black tries to get a rook here onto g6, all white has to do is bring its rook over now to g1, and it's going to be fine. That would have been preferable for black, and in fact, there is a slight advantage for white in this position, but it's definitely not as dangerous as the line that was played in the game. The second thing that I'd like to point out in the line that I covered was when I played rook up to h5. There was a much stronger move in this position. However, I'm going to draw back to something that I know is quite common in a lot of my videos, especially my self-reflecting videos, is that when you get something in your mind you tend to exclude the other line options that you have. And that's something that I've been struggling with for ever since I started chess. You get an idea in your head and you're just like, I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to do it. And, you casually look at other options, but you're really primarily just thinking about that one option that you really like. And unfortunately, I missed a much better move in this position, which would have been queen now to f5, hitting the check. Now from here, the best move black has at its disposal is to play king back now to g8, but now white can come in, taking the pawn on h6, and black's going to be in a world of hurt. It can try something like queen to g7, but from here now, of course, we just have rook over now to g6, pinning that queen down to the king, and there's nothing that black can do. Black can't even try to bring its rook over to f8 to try to trade queens that way, because all we have to do, of course, is snag up the queen on g7 with check, and then once the king recaptures, we just take the pawn on g5 with our queen with check, and we have a queen and the opponent doesn't. Now you might have said to yourself, jrobi, I wouldn't even played my king to g8 in the first place. I might have played something like king to g7, so if I flip back to the initial check, you might have thought, what happens if the king goes to g7? Well, it's just a world of hurt for black in this position, because now all white has to do is come in, take the pawn. That rook cannot be taken. For example, if it is, the king takes here on h6, white rook hits a check, and now it's going to be a mate in 4. Check here on h7, king goes now to g8, queen check, king goes over now to f8, and checkmate, and it's game over. So really the best bet for black was to go down the lines that resulted in this position. Both, of course, are losing, but it's the better of the two. So I thought I'd point out a couple of interesting options there. So I'm going to go back to the beginning position here after pawn is played to h6. And so that's basically it. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys came up with the line when you paused the video, or other line options that you had along the way. And like I said, hoping to get some more chess videos out more frequently, especially into the new year. And we'll take it from there. I'm going to continue on and work on the Rai Lopez stuff that I was doing, the Sicilian defense. I want to get into the accelerated dragon. And of course, I'm going to be starting to post up more of my own personal games, standard time control games. And I've actually got something a little bit new and different to do that on my channel. So we'll bring that into the new year and we'll see how it goes. So take care. Hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you next time.